LoreWarrior Armour, Demolisher II Heavy Tank. Overview. When the Jade Falcons captured the original Demolisher factory on Sudeten during the Clan invasion, the Federated Commonwealth solicited bids for a new urban combat vehicle. The Typhoon urban assault vehicle had begun production in early 3057, with a majority shipping to the Davian Guards units. Consequently, when Katrina Steiner issued her recall to all Lyran troops following the Marek Lau invasion of the Sarna March, almost no Typhoon vehicles remained in Lyran hands. The Lyran Alliance Armed Forces asked Defiance Industries of Hesperus II to create a new assault vehicle whose capabilities would exceed the Typhoons. The Demolisher II Heavy Tank is a direct result of that effort. Capabilities. The showcase weapons of the Demolisher II Heavy Tank are the new Defiance Disintegrator LB-20X autocannon and Defiance Thunder Ultra AC-20 autocannon. With their traditional love of large-bore weaponry, the LAAF devoted considerable time and resources into replicating the clan's largest autocannons. Though the Disintegrator autocannon had been in production in the Alliance for years, Lyran scientists seemed unable to bridge the gap between the two weapon types. The final breakthrough, then, came when Imperator Weaponries of Atreus in the Free Worlds League began production of its Ultra 10, which it was willing to sell to anybody. Shortly afterwards, the Lyran Alliance began field testing its new large-bore autocannons. The original Demolisher was created to concentrate the devastating firepower of twin Type 20 autocannons in a single vehicle. However, the new LBX and Ultra versions of these would increase the usefulness and fearsomeness of the Demolisher II. As with the original Demolisher, both weapons systems are mounted in a turret. Almost as an afterthought, twin machine guns are fixed in the front firing arc as an anti-infantry deterrent. Deployment. The Demolisher II began full production in late 3059, only months after Operation Bulldog concluded. Currently, under direct orders from the Lyran Alliance, Defiance Industries of Hesperus II have refused all orders for this vehicle outside of the Lyran Alliance. So, this is another 100-ton vehicle, naturally. It's tracked with a VLAR 300 fusion power plant, it has a cruise of 32 and a flank speed of 54 kph. Its armour is the Star Slab 6 ferrofibrous with case. Its armament is a single Defiance Disintegrator LB-20 autocannon and one Defiance Thunder Ultra AC-20 autocannon with two Coventry Light autoguns. It's manufactured by Defiance Industries on Hesperus II, Hesperus II is the Primus factory. Its communication system is the Neil 9000, and its targeting and tracking is the Angst Clearview 2 Alpha. Obviously this means it moves 3 and 5, cruise and flank, and it has a very thick slab of armour in the front of 60, the sides are 50, the rear is 40, and its turret is 60. The LB-20 and the Ultra-20 are both, as it says, located in the turret. The LB-20 has 20 shots and the Ultra-20 has 20 shots. Its machine guns are located in the front, with a 100 round split between both. Other than that, it is just a beast of a machine, capable of being able to double tap the AC-20, keep that in mind, although you do run the risk of obviously a jam. The idea of being able to smack 40 damage into a target in a single round is very, very tempting indeed, especially given that as soon as you do open up that target, that LB-20 can fire, and that's when you start getting the flechettes and you're getting the higher chance of the critical hits, and that's when this thing really comes into its own. Compared to the original Demolisher, it's arguably better, but probably costs a bit more. I actually think that you're probably going to do better with more Demolishers standard than you would Demolisher 2s, but in universe this makes sense because the original Demolisher factory has, well, since fallen into Jade Falcon hands, and I guess you could assume that new lines for the Demolisher have been built elsewhere since, but this is the natural progression as they've gone even bigger and better with new technology. Yeah, it's genuinely quite a terrifying design, the idea of a 3 and 5 slug moving across the field, but the second it gets within range you are fudged. Urban combat, definitely. Open warfare this thing does not do very well in, of course, unless it has a lot of terrain with which it can use to move up toward the target without being seen very often or at all. It's definitely the kind of thing that is a bit of a kind of centerpiece of an armoured force that you may be bringing into the field. As I said, urban combat, it's definitely the king of the battlefield in that regard, because anything that gets close to this thing is likely to be dead. Outside of it being another Demolisher or an assault mech of comparable size and weight, this is not the kind of thing that you would attack with a light vehicle, for instance, especially since it's got the capability of pretty much being able to tear off an entire limb in a single shot, let alone it might be able to just punch through the CT of the thing in one shot. Even most mediums, I think, would be at a huge disadvantage trying to engage this thing close up. I mean, if you can imagine even melee focus mechs like the Hatchet Man, for instance, jumping in and going for a swing here, it might do some good damage, but I don't think it'll do enough damage in a single turn to be able to knock out a Demolisher II. A concerted effort would be the best description for trying to engage one of these things in its natural environment. Unless there's long sight lines that give you the ability to shoot down toward it, it's going to be a very, very, as I said, dicey prospect trying to fight this thing up close or even in medium range. Basically, you have to accept that you're going to probably take some bad hits or some losses just to take this thing out. Now, whether this is a good strategy or not is entirely different, and depending on the mission type, obviously you may be able to just completely avoid this thing. Obviously, if you're being a bit of a shit of a GM and you just want to really put the pressure on the players, or even kill a couple of them, the Demolisher II is definitely one of the vehicles that can get that job done, especially if you want to keep it as a bit of a surprise later on. It's also the kind of thing that you could build an entire game around. Now, in universe, we know obviously that the Lyran Alliance did not accept any orders outside of the Lyran Alliance for these things, so hey, there's an entire campaign opportunity here to run a heist, steal a Demolisher II heavy tank from the Lyran Alliance, get it off system, and make bank with other interested parties who want to be able to get hold of one of these things and disassemble it and have a look at its weapons and other technologies inside it. So there's a good little narrative adventure that you can come up with there, trying to escape with one of these things across enemy territory, that kind of thing, or trying to get it bundled onto a dropship and get the fuck out, get out of system. It's pretty cool. Or one of them just got disabled on a battlefield and it's been left there, and there's maybe you can have multiple factions all racing down to try and grab the scrap or grab the salvage. The players being one of these, an interested party on the planet has quickly hired you to go and get this thing, while there's obviously the Lyrans themselves. There might be other private ventures also trying to get hold of it, and there's just a mad dash of multiple factions all shooting each other up to try and grab this thing. I might do that for a game, actually, now that I've called it. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for listening, as always. I hope you have a good week. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.